the more we are in that space, the more we cultivate that space within ourselves, we experience a different world. Different things occur to us as being salient or relevant, or possibilities come to us that weren't there before.
Kevin's like grounded masculine safety meets a weird realm-bending permission slip.
And Britta's like a wise and witchy Mary Poppins.
Yeah, it's better than therapy.
This stuff is way better than therapy.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
So much better than therapy.
It's better than therapy.
Better than therapy.
I was like, oh man, I wish I hadn't hit pause recording. I was like, oh, I liked what was being said. My left brain hates like the intro, outro stuff that's happening so much. I guess it's like the shadow part of my left brain. It's like, no, get your shit together, or order, organization. And my right brain is just like, cool. Like cool stuff's happening. And it's also like, oh, good. You're losing some of your rigidity, Britta. Well done. But like in the left brain, right brain contact, a lot. Yes. It's so just like sweet to have that awareness to like zoom out and be like, oh yeah, left brain. Again, I'm almost like that like shadow left brain phrasing. It's like shadow left brain does not like that. Right brain is like, oh, thank God. Let them be free. Let the people be free.
Right. Yeah. Let it be art. Let it be art.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So what are we talking about in this one? We're doing questions. We're doing like now what? Is that
kind of like this now what? We do have some like general questions.
Cool.
That we have also from
so if somebody is listening, this is a continuation of part one.
Part one, which was a follow-up to another podcast.
Which is a follow-up to another. So if you haven't listened to, go back to last week's, and then last week's might take you back 6 months. And then this is a follow-up. We're exploring this distinction of like right brain, left brain, the work of Ian McGilchrist. I even say his name right. I don't know. I got it. Okay. Yeah. And now we're going to be exploring. Also, if you didn't listen to last week's was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. That was fun. I'd recommend going back and listening.
Kevin cries and dances. You can't hear or see it though, because Zoom cuts out, but we point to it.
Crying and dancing did happen. Yes. Okay. And yeah, where do we want to? So we cut that one, and we realized like, there's like a second part. We didn't get to the questions, and we wanted to explore. At least I know some of it is like the questions of like, okay, like, so like, given this distinction and this understanding and how like clearly we thrive as a species, as individuals, when our right brain and left brain are like balanced in harmony, and not so much when not that, and like, now what?
And
what do we?
Yeah, the documentary, The Divided Brain, that Fawn recommended and that we all watched, is like really highlights we live in such an insanely left brain dominant culture these days.
And you can watch that. I know you can watch it on YouTube. Is there other places? If someone's listening and they want to watch the documentary, it's fantastic. It's called The Divided Brain. I saw it on YouTube. It's probably other places. Google exists. Great. They can find it. Okay, cool. If you can't find that, right, you got bigger problems.
It's linked in the resources too that I believe you guys shared in the first show notes. Maybe their resources exist somewhere, and I'm happy to resend. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, where to from here?
So like this question of now what, of like waking up to, oh my God, we live in this world that is so left brain dominant, and that is not how we are like designed or wired as humans to thrive. And I was so struck by, there's this moment in the documentary where they do some kind of like just CGI imaging of all these little like humanoid creatures in their individual little boxes, like totally cut off from each other. And just my heart like broke. And that is how it feels for me internally and what I see in our world when there's like a left brain dominance. It's like isolation, lack of connection with self and our own like infinite expansive possibility and magic and wisdom, and from like the earth, each other, community, connection, and like, yeah, might have created a lot of wealth and success, but people are not any happier. If anything, like the opposite, living more and more
quite
that way.
disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Insert a list of all sorts of other issues that are currently in our species.
So this now what? It's like, okay, so we live in a left brain culture. Like what to do about that at like on the individual level?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just going to throw, I'm just like Gandhi comes to mind, you know, and I'm like wondering how that fits in from us. Cause like that motherfucker that had to have been like pretty ripe, you know, he was wise enough to say, and I'm not a Gandhi expert, but like, wasn't his thing, it's like, he was like, because they were being occupied and controlled, you know, very left brain dominant. And they were like, he's like, we're going to make these motherfuckers leave. I mean, he might have said it. I don't know. What,
I think motherfuckers is his, verbatim quote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That sounds.
Which is weird because
sounds nonviolent.
Yeah.
Nonviolent
But
communication.
most people
101.
don't know that about Gandhi. Yeah. He used the word fuck a lot, which is really but anyway. But then he's like, we're gonna make them leave, but we're gonna make like as our friends. You know, like the English are going to leave as our friends. And I'm just like, that's coming to mind. And I'm like, I'm just kind of like wondering like how it's like, how, you know, if I'm kind of conspiring as like the right, and if I'm honest, I'm like, yeah, I want like a revolution to happen where we live in a more right brain world. And I want to like, I certainly don't want to like make the left brain dominant thing the enemy. And like, how do we bring our world into greater harmony?
Yeah. Just small questions and themes on this episode.
Yeah.
some light gallivanting through recreational topics. Well, the first thing that I'll say to that is Ian gets asked this question all the time in some form or fashion. And he has at length spoken about this and shared about this and continues to do so. I was just on his members Q&A call yesterday, and this question, it in some form or fashion comes up all the time. It did yesterday. And so there are several talks that he's done that are on YouTube, free to watch, listen to, where he speaks to this far better than I could in his way, you know, like far better than I could ever try to synthesize or soundbite or even propose. And those conversations are I love the guy on for so many reasons. I was telling Kevin and Britta last night that he's the kindest human being I've ever met. Having done all that he's done and seen all that he's seen and grokked all that he's grokked, his kindness is so deep and palpable and real, and his compassion and his anguish about the state of the world, it's so palpable in him. And so when he talks about these questions related to now what do we do? You know, we look around the world and it's like, it's a left hemispheric nightmare on a lot of levels. He speaks to this very deeply and eloquently, and it's not always like, here's what we do. We just da 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 da. In fact, it's rarely that, because he's so great at pointing out, like, the question in of itself is a very left hemisphere kind of question. Like, how do we fix? How do we solve? What do we do about this? It's like, going into that procedural kind of orientation to things. So I would recommend for anybody that, where these kind of greater existential, societal, global questions are coming up or emerging, go watch 24 Ian McGilchrist videos, and, by, topic or theme, or just kind of because this is the nature of his work. It's in a way, it is an answer, or not an answer, but it's a reverberation to what's going on in the world. And he speaks to that a lot. So just want to offer that up for everybody. And he has some pretty hardcore conversations with some very important intellectual philosophers. Like John Vervaeke comes to mind. There's a conversation. I'll make a little playlist on this particular topic, but really, really important dialogue that I think everybody, I'm so glad it's free, and accessible, but that it is helpful. Not that it answers any questions per se, but he really is helpful in kind of backing out of the thinking that is asking the question. And I was in a John Vervaeke class earlier this morning, actually, and he was talking about, for those who aren't familiar, go check out John Vervaeke. He's amazing and so important and so brilliant. His series Awakening to the Meaning Crisis is free. It's 50 episodes.
Unbelievable that's free.
It's
and that,
amazing.
and that came out of a that someone was just like, wow. Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah. I just got to say too, I really appreciate how much you love this stuff, Fawn, and I appreciate your the recommendation to listen to 24 videos that you said, because I'm like, that's the world I'm in as well. That's like, and it's like, I could see my left brain being like, well, maybe they could start with one. I'm like, no, but there is something different. Like, yeah, like go listen to 24. It's I just love that you said that. I just want to say thank you for 24.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we live in a culture too, just speaking to that, because I think this is very important too. We live in a culture where we want the summary, we want the AI, like we want the bullet points, we want this. So what do we do? And then not like, what do we do? And we don't want to hear the full answer. We just want the step 1, step 2, step 3. That's it. That kind of also doesn't inconvenience us too much. And that is so left hemisphere.
And I'm going to do that. I'm going to the clip I listened to, I'm going to listen on 2x speed so I can, get more from
right.
Someone this morning, it was like, oh yeah, I'll go back and Clyde, I'll go back and listen to that on 2x speed. And it was like literally one of the themes we're working on is like slowing down.
Totally. Oh
fun.
Yeah. No, it's a couple of I'm thinking of a couple of corporate clients who, and I'm like, okay, part of your action item is also actually to listen to it at 1x. Like that's like folded into the exercise. Anyway, so we part of this is like backing out of the question itself. And I think, and really exploring where am I right now in asking this question? Like, where am I? How am I orienting with the world and the way that I'm thinking about the world as I ask the question of what now, right? And recognizing in myself, am I orienting toward the world as a problem that needs to be solved? Am I orienting toward the world as a problem? Am I orienting toward is my attitude about this am I wanting a solution that I can implement that will, fix the thing? Am I thinking in a really left hemisphere way? And it takes a minute to evaluate that, or to just create more awareness around that. But I really, really bottom line, is exploring how we think about how we think. And this is why I love the 3 principles understanding, how it dances with this so well, because there's such a a cultivation of awareness and presence. Presence, awareness in the now, right? And that space, that quality of being is really helpful for fresh thinking, fresh seeing, and for being able to ask these kinds of questions in a way that isn't loaded and bogged down by the left hemisphere's way of doing and thinking about things. And like there's that, famous quote that's attributed to Einstein that we're not going to create a solution to the problem with the same level of consciousness that created it, right? It's true. Like that's the thing. Like we're, at, like case in point, modern civilization, society, Western at least. So being able to access the right hemisphere in the exploration of what now is like square one base level. It's like in martial arts, right? Like, or in music, like learning your scales, learning your stance, like really cultivating within ourselves that right the balance, the orientation to the world before we even really start to think about like, what do I do about my relationship in a right hemisphere way? What do I do in the workplace in a right, like what do I do with this information? And what's really cool is that akin to the three principles, akin to the understanding, the more we are in that space, the more we cultivate that space within ourselves, we experience a different world. Different things occur to us as being salient or relevant, or possibilities come to us that weren't there before. We start to experience the ecology of the world that we live in, and versus this like linear illusory causal, chain of events. Like even in corporate culture, even in really westernized schools, westernized environments, or micro cultures, microclimates, when we cultivate this space and this rebalancing within ourselves, what occurs to us, that's the tendril to follow. I'm using a lot of hand motions again, and nobody can see them.
One day we'll have video, maybe.
No, it's okay.
Maybe we can have AI go back and do video for the episodes that we don't have video. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, we should just
like claymation. We could have pretty soon. We could have AI go back and do
Kevin crying and flailing his arms in the corner. That'd be so great.
I love that. Like we actually could do that, and that would be fucking great. I would love to release this on YouTube in a year, and like the first 2 years of podcasts, we're like, well, we want video, so okay, it's like claymation. They're like, Anyway,
where were we? Good. Yeah.
So shift. Yeah.
So you're talking. I hear you talking about like the importance of words get tough. Like of discernment of like where are we coming from in this moment to explore this thing. And if there's a question of like, oh shit, right brain, left brain, oh yeah, that's what's going on, what do we do about it? How to like watch out for, like, where are we coming from when we're asking that question? Is it coming from this more left hemispheric way, which I think another way that I would say that is like, is it a shame-based view? This view of like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong? This is wrong. This shouldn't be happening. Through this very, like this is a problem. This is a pathology. It needs to be fixed. Making sure that we're not coming from that same, like over here, like let's fix the problem solving thing with the problem thing that made the problem, like, and instead slowing down, more awareness to like really look to like, are we coming from this, whatever, meeting this puzzle, this this thing needing this from a place of like the right brain, of more of a loving, unshaming witness to this thing. It's more like, oh, interesting. Oh, wow. Yeah, we live in a left brain dominant culture, and it's like wreaking havoc on a lot of the ecosystem. Like, huh, interesting. Can we like be aware of like where are we coming from? And I hear you saying like that's kind of like the thing is like, where are we coming from? Because when we're coming more from that place, then we're going to see different things. We're going to wake up in a different world. It is completely different. And then we're in a different paradigm. We're in a different thing so we actually do the thing that Einstein was pointing us to do, to like, you got to get out of the paradigm that created the problem to solve, like that whole thing. And it's about more, what we talk about in our work a lot, I would say. Like, it's like getting a feel for wisdom, getting in touch with what is it actually like to be, hanging out in a nice feeling, to be, oh, that's wisdom. Oh, that's me rehashing my old thinking. And getting more of a feel for what it's like to like be in. I think about like, you said music too. Like, it's like in music, one of my favorite music principles is from Victor Wooten. He said, never lose the groove to find a note. And it's like that. It's like, and when you're in the groove, and like you can be in the groove playing music, and you can play a ton of fucking wrong, dissonant notes, and it sounds fucking great. And you can be not in the groove playing all the right notes in the scale, and it sounds fucking stale and not good. And that, I think, is another way to point to this. It's like clicking into like, are we in the groove? And if we're in the groove, then we're good. That's kind of our job, is to like live in the groove.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll add to that too, that relearning how to think, relearning not what to think, relearning how to think it's a practice. It's a practice. And for me, at least. And so I can highly recommend the work of the late Carol Sanford. She brilliant human being who was very contrarian to the Western model. And long story, very, very short, she was an advisor to these huge corporations. And her come from and her advisorship was very rooted in like David Bohm's work and some of the Platonic philosophy. And she wrote this incredible book that I recommend to everybody not only read, but like read it the way that she invites you to read it. It's called Indirect Work. And so I read Carol maybe 2 years after I discovered Ian. And it was literal frameworks for how to navigate this left hemispheric world in a right hemisphere way. It's not exactly how she puts it, but it's essentially like her work is a recultivation of how to think and how to create and how to meet the challenges in our world from a space of as Michael Neal calls it, what is it? The inexhaustible fount of creativity. And so she like reading Indirect Work and Ian's like, it's so cool because they just dance completely together.
Great.
Yeah. And the title, it's probably evident, but what she's talking about is like indirect versus direct is worlds of difference in the way that we approach things. Some things are best served directly, like what do I want for breakfast? Cool, let me make that. But when it comes to being like change agents or within organizations or in the world, the indirect is so much more powerful and influential in like the actual paradigm shift, not just moving the deck chairs on the Titanic, but actually being able to like renovate and revolutionize the way that we're moving through the world. So her work, for those of you in organizations or corporate or any any place where there's like a huge question around like, how do I adapt this in a pragmatic and helpful way in a structure that is very like confining. Carol's work is fantastic. Yeah, I get really excited about her.
Mm-hmm.
I purchased it on Audible about 3 minutes ago while you were talking.
Kevin's practicing presents. Audible, great. I also recommend getting the hard copy because it's a very engaging...
I actually wanted to get the hard copy, and then I bought the Audible, and then it said like enjoy listening. I was like, oh shit, I just bought the Audible. I was like, because I was really listening. I was here, and then I was like, anyway.
So funny. Yeah, and can I don't know how much time. I think we're okay on time. I'll just add one more thing since I was just mentioning corporate stuff.
This is great. Yeah,
as a possibility space for those who are in those kinds of spaces, and a lot of my clients are, and especially are coming from or in positions of like executive CEOs, executives, presidents of companies, or consultants, etc. And so I am fortunate to be able to work with and dance with them in exploring these questions and navigating these questions in context of the understanding and Ian Gilchrist. And one of the things that really struck me, and I think it was Carol Sanford that helped me to really recognize this, Carol and Ian, is that the etymology of organization is organism. And an organism is a very alive entity that is constantly in flux, constantly changing. And the elements within that organism, the individuals, quote unquote, if you will, within an organism, including ourselves, right? We've got our organs, we've got our cells, we've got our like molecules that make our cells. And homeostasis is the dance of everything all the time, calibrating to everything else all the time, right? In the direction of what's best for the organism at large. And so when I was like, oh my God, the organizations are so no longer organismic, as far as I've heard from most people on the inside. Organizations have become machines. They've become mechanizations. And it's very mechanical. It's very like, there's like procedures and protocols, and there's a hierarchy, and the hierarchy is very clear, and this is what everybody does. And there's, and then they're simultaneously somehow like inviting everyone to be innovative in that kind of environment, which is a whole different story. But so in
we're going to hold you hostage from your innovation, but be innovative. Why is everybody so stressed out and unhappy? I don't get it.
Right. Especially in spaces that are like, be as productive as possible. Also, we need you to be as innovative as possible. Like, what the actual? Like, metrics are just so skewed. So in recognizing the dysfunction of what an organization initially was intended to be, and then what it's become, and I'm not speaking universally, but I'll just say like corporate America, right? Just to kind of slap a label on it, has become like unworkable for most people on the inside. Like you like try to turn left and it's like, oh, can't do that. Like, I have to get permission from like 17,000 people, before I can even. And so in recognizing like the intention and the functionality of an organization is meant to be organismic, recognizing that is actually really, really helpful. Like, on an individual level, just in the workplace of like, oh yeah, like I'm, as much as they try to convince me that I'm like this siloed entity within a siloed department, actually I'm an organism within an organism within an organism. Relating to the space can be helpful, just kind of knowing that and keeping that on top of mind. And then from a leadership perspective, integrating like, okay, how would the right hemisphere like do this? But when I'm in right hemisphere mode, and when I bring my team on in and we like cultivate right hemisphere, what occurs to us from that space to the degree that we're able to within that setting, right? And again, like so many people's like hands are cuffed in their in their roles and their, departments, et cetera. I understand, but there are, once we start to embody this way of being in the world, it's amazing how we show up differently, see differently, and like connect, and like it just starts to the organismic can't help itself but to influence the surroundings. And so for those in like executive positions or really important like decision making roles and positions, what's really helpful is that the data supports that the organismic model is far more profitable in terms of those kinds of margins than the mechanical. Like that's really starting to shake out in the research organizationally. So like kind of like understanding the hemisphere hypothesis, how it like kind of substantiates the spiritual journey or like the personal journey, the data around what is most helpful in generating a more flourishing workplace and whatever those metrics are, knowing that the data is there can be helpful as well in saying, okay, here's this piece of data that says that, very strongly suggests that if we approach this from this direction, right hemisphere more oriented direction, we're probably going to yield, X amount more like profit or productivity or whatever. So it's kind of like learning how to navigate the machine as an organism and bringing the other organisms on board in a very organismic way.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love you, Fawn. This is great. You're great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I can't help myself.
It's so good.
So good.
I just want to acknowledge you for like how much you know, like the like incredible, like just how like the passionate philosopher that you are. It's like it's incredible. Like it's incredible. Like it's so good to be like when we have conversations. I just like I want to have it. I want to talk for 8 hours because I know I'm just seeing like the tiniest little tip of a thing, and it's like fuck. There's so much here. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think I said this
Kevin.
before we hit recording. Yeah. Like part of it that I see and experience with you, it feels so good because it's so true to like your unique expression. It's like the being with someone who's living in alignment and like expressing, what's that quote you love, Kev? Like expressing the core of your being through your craft. It feels good because that's what we all want. Like not everybody wants to be like the deeply studied philosopher who's like super creative and expressive, but everybody wants to be themselves. And it's like so great to be with you and like receive you because you're so permissioned in being yourself, like vibrantly. So thank you.
Thank you guys. That's the greatest feedback. Thank you so much. I feel so fortunate that this is the case. Right? Like so humbly fortunate, right?
Yeah.
I could be a nerd about like drywalling, and I don't know how positive the feedback would be. So I'm very like, not that that's bad, not that that's a bad thing, but like, I'm so grateful that this is beneficial.
So beneficial, like unbelievably. And I want to bring in that quote that Britta mentioned of, I'm paraphrasing, but it was from Josh Waitzkin in The Art of Learning, sort of like a different angle on, having the data and the science to, back this stuff up. I mean, if you look up Josh Waitzkin and what this human has been able to, I mean, he was like world class, like one of the best chess. I think he was the best chess player at his age group for like as a little kid. The movie Searching for Bobby Fischer was made about him. Then he went on to become win a world championship in martial arts. It's like chess players normally don't go from chess to martial art at that world class level. And now he's a coach, and he's a like big wave stand up paddle surfer. I can't remember, just like it's insane. Wow. And one of the quotes from that was a life changing book for me when I was playing poker. Like at the time, one of the quotes was, to be world class, you must express the core of your being through your craft. Which now I understand that to be like, he's essentially saying the same thing. It's like to be world class, to thrive, you must be you. You must be coming from this right hemispheric plate, like, because that's how you express the core of your being. You can't express the core of your being through your craft if you're doing it in a left brain mode. I tried it; it didn't work. It's like it's like that's it. So the science says it. All of our personal experience, it's so clear. Here's another guy saying it who's it's just this is just how it is. I guess I just like would love people to wake the fuck up to like this way. God, can we just have more people like get this stuff? Oh.
Well, good news, Kev. You are an awakener.
Totally. I know. It's so cool. Yeah.
Can you say that quote one more time? The Josh Wainskin quote, but
yeah,
replace,
Josh Wainskin. The book yeah, go ahead if you had
the quote, but replace craft with consciousness.
Ooh, yeah. So I'm paraphrasing. I might not be getting it exactly. It's a quote from his book, The Art of Learning, Josh Wainskin. To be world class, you must express the core of your being through consciousness.
Through your consciousness. Yeah.
Through your consciousness.
That sounds.
I mean, that's it. Yeah. Like that's. And I would also like replace like world class, maybe, that.
Yeah.
That one also doesn't resonate as much, it's a little achievey for me at this point, but it's like that pointer to thrive.
Yeah.
This is the way. Like you can't thrive if you're left brain dominant. Sorry. Like just doesn't work like that.
Right. And what's really something about the chess part of that just made me recall so for those out there who are super analytical, maybe orient mathematically to the world, or very
love that you're bringing this in.
Sciencey, right, or mathematics. The great news is, and Ian talks about this at length in his conversations as well, especially his series with Alex Gomez Marin, where they go through every chapter of The Matter with Things. And I think there's 27 chapters. So there's an hour-long discussion that follows along with each chapter. And there's like a group of those discussions where they're talking about like science and they're talking about scientism, which is kind of different thing. But the point that I'm wanting to share is that the thriving as the mathematician or thriving as an analyst or thriving as like that is totally freaking awesome. And I like relate with that, like, big time. Big part of it, if you can't tell, is like super creative. But big part of me is also really analytical the left hemisphere, right, is like the left hemisphere is like the engine, but the right hemisphere is the integrator. And like the most brilliant mathematicians and chess players and people that we might conceive of as like living in their left hemisphere, it's not that it's dominant, unless their personality and their character is indicative of that being dominant. Maybe they are, right? But like you can be like an analytical all day long and be thriving in the right hemisphere. In fact, Ian argues that and analysis and things of that nature, I'll just say, are best served by being in relationship and in harmony with the right hemisphere, and that we aren't actually fully expressing our analyticalness, right? If we are too much in the left. So just wanted to bring that to the table, because I think some people who are like, oh, but I'm so left hemisphere oriented, like I'm like I can't thrive, or like do I have to change my whole being or things that I'm into or hobbies, or sense of like, no, like it's all an expression of nature. And then in recognizing the ways in which the orientation with the right hemisphere can like amplify that and expand that.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
I'm looking at another Josh Waitzkin quote.
We're like over.
I'm going to read another
Oh my
quote.
Okay.
Oh no, we're over. I want to read a quote.
Okay.
Everyone at a high level has a huge amount of chess understanding, and much of what separates the great from the very good is deep presence, relaxation of the conscious mind, which allows the unconscious to flow unhindered. The same fucking thing.
Beautiful.
He talks about this. Learning is the movement towards freer and freer, unobstructed self-expression. Yeah, if you don't know Josh Waitzkin, I got to make a Josh Waitzkin playlist for you, Fawn. He's so good. So good.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Learning right hemispherically. Right?
Yes.
Like,
yeah, that's a great, like without that distinction. It's so funny because I got into his stuff and I was still so I was like trying to do all of this stuff from mostly left hemisphere dominant and then sometimes right, but then go and it just didn't fucking it sort of like but it now I'm like, oh, I get why. Yeah. So wow, there's a lot of obstruction happening. Yeah.
That's so meta.
We're at right. All right. We're at time. Do we have time for even?
Did we cover all questions?
I think we're well over. I'm trying. My left brain's like, how do we get this within the structure of our agreement with our editor? Because I don't know at this point.
That's right.
Well,
right. Constraints, which are good. Constraints help us shape things.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Didn't expect to go here.
Awesome.
This was so fun and winding and wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks, Fawn.
Thank you both
Great
so much. Yeah. Sorry, editor, in advance right now because I'm about to ask one more question. I always love doing like a takeaway round or what occurred to you, like in a soundbite kind of reflection as we wrap out. If that's okay with you guys, I'd love to hear it. It can be off air or on air.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, mine
Are
is.
You open to doing it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, mine is. You kind of like alluded to it in something you were saying earlier, Fawn, and it's something I took away from one of our first coaching conversations, and I have it, like I read it to myself every morning. It's the how is more essential than the what.
Yeah, I'm just loving that one too. I got that. I heard that one in a new way after this conversation we just had. I'm just like, oh yeah, takeaway. This is so fun. I want more. I think that's kind of my takeaway. Is just like I feel I'm like I'm in this experience of coming more and more alive, and it's happening with this podcast, and I'm learning more and I'm seeing more, and I'm just fucking excited. I loved the organism piece. That frame on it's just like I think my brain often I don't need or even want the data. Oftentimes it's just like intuitively, and you share that and it's just like, of course that.
Right.
And then that is just a beautiful metaphor because like that's true. And I love that one. Yeah. Yeah. What about you? Do you have
I really enjoy these conversations with you too. It's so much fun. I'm so grateful and really, really love it. And I will, I'll say what's honestly occurring to me right now is maybe there will be a part 3.4, 3.54, 2.5. I don't even know where we are right now.
Pissed. If we don't keep doing this, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I appreciate both of your enthusiasm and engagement. And like, it's literally the greatest honor and pleasure in the world to be able to connect with you about these things that, I love and you're interested in and you love and I'm interested in. And it's such a beautiful symbiosis. And And I would love to dive into like Michael Levin's work next time and like just keep exploring or whatever we'd like to. But yeah, I appreciate you both so much.
Very mutual. Yeah.